Every parent is given this challenge: how to choose a name for another person which they will keep for 75 plus years. That's a long time, and a lot of things change in that time. What's cool now becomes like flip phones overnight. For twin parents, you have to do this for two people at once. Is it a package deal, or should you treat them like regular siblings, or not related at all? Today we're talking about the do's and don'ts of naming twins. This is Twin Talks.
The ultrasound shows your babies to be healthy.
What? Did you say babies? You're huge. Are you having twins?
Are they natural?
Which one do you like better?
Twins, huh? My neighbor's cousin's brother's uncle's a twin.
So can they read each other's minds?
How do you tell them apart?
Twins? You got a 2-for-1.
Do twins run in your family?
Double trouble. You're not having any more, are you?
At least you're not Octomom.
If you're pregnant with twins, or you're an experienced twin parent, odds are you've heard it all before. Now it's time to hear from the experts. This is Twin Talks, Parenting Times 2. Okay, well, welcome to Twin Talks, broadcasting from the Birth Education Center of San Diego. Twin Talks is your online, on-the-go support group for expecting and new parents of twins. I'm your host, Christine Stewart Fitzgerald. If you love Twin Talks as much as we do, then please tell other twin parents about us. We'd also love for you to leave a review for us in iTunes, which helps other listeners find our show. So here's Sunny with more information about how you can get involved with Twin Talks.
Okay. We love to hear from our listeners. We want you guys to become part of the show. Obviously, you can be a panelist on the show, but if that's a little too much for you, if you just kind of want to, dip your toe in the water or something like that, you can submit for one of our segments. And if you go to newmommymedia.com and you go to the Twin Talks portion of the website, you'll see all of the segments, but I'm just going to highlight a few right now. So we have a segment where we talk about the funny things, mistakes that we've made with our twins. We call it Twin Oops. Most of these are pretty funny stuff that, we can just kind of get a laugh at, because we're not perfect. We try to be, but, with twins, it's a little tough to be the perfect Pinterest mom with twins. So that's one of the segments. We have another one where the segment's called We're Expecting What? And that's like the question, we all internally say to ourselves when we weren't expecting twins and we find out we're pregnant with twins and we're like, what is going on here? My whole world just changed. So if you have a funny story or interesting story that you want to share about that, those are just a couple of the segments that you can respond to, be part of our show. So the way that you submit to those is if you go again to the website, everything's through the website. There's a common denominator here. Go to newmommymedia.com, click on the contact link, and you can type out your response there. I'm personally not a big fan of typing if I don't have to. So another way you can submit is via our voicemail. So if you call 619-866-4775, you can just leave a message and then I will grab that and we can put it in a future episode. So everyone can hear you telling your own story as opposed to me or Christine giving our version of your story, right? So check us out on the web and you can learn more about our different segments.
All right. Well, before we get started, let's do a round of introductions. So let's see. We've got Angel on the phone with us. You can tell us a little bit about your family and yourself.
Hi, my name is Angel Lakita Moore. I am a wife of 8.5 years and a mother of 3 beautiful boys. I have a 6-year-old singleton, Marcus, and I have 2 twin boys who are 7 months old and just as chunky as they want to be. And on top of being a mom and a wife, I'm the host of the Mom's View, which is an online mom show, as well as an actress and a vlogger of my own channel called That Chick Angel TV.
All right.
So you're not busy or anything.
No, I've got a lot of downtime. A lot.
It's so awesome.
Oh my gosh. And let's see, and our expert on the phone with us today, Jennifer Moss. You can tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been doing.
Yeah, I'm Jennifer Moss. I'm the founder and CEO of babynames.com that launched 18 years ago. We were the first baby name site online and still are very popular. We get over 2 million unique visitors a month. And in that time, I've helped thousands of families help name their babies.
Wow.
I love that.
You can say you're responsible for thousands of people who have names right now. You say, hey, it's because of me. Let me just let you know.
Named, yeah, hundreds of thousands of babies.
It's awesome when I meet somebody and I tell them what I do and they said, I think I used that site to name my child.
That's pretty cool.
Awesome.
All right. And Sunny.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm Sunny. I'm producing today's show, and I have 4 kids of my own, 2 singletons. My singletons are age 5 and age 3, both boys. They do everything together, and they might as well be twins. I kind of, in my head, feel like I have 2 sets of twins because they literally do everything together. They're just a year and a half apart. And then I have my real twins, who are girls, and they are about to turn 2. And, naming them, we'll dive into this, but my husband and I kind of went back and forth. We had some different approaches to naming, but we're definitely in the category of we like unique names, and we just kind of had to figure that. Okay, how does that work with twins? Then we want it to be easy to spell, but what do you do? So I definitely have some insight on this, and plus my name is Sunny. It's an unusual name, not as unusual actually. I've met a few Sunnies, but I kind of wanted that kind of flair too, as being something that everyone kind of sees it, and it's you know how to say it, and it's still unique, and I wanted that for my kids. So
yes,
fun stuff.
And I'm your host, Christine Stewart Fitzgerald. And let's see. So my identical girls are 6 years old now, and they are Alexandra and Julia. And of course, Alexandra, she goes by Alexa. I think just because it's shorter to write, she doesn't have to write as many letters. Just more being lazy. And then I do have a singleton, 3. She's 3, and she's Michaela, and we spelled it the traditional way of Michael with an A. So that was a little homage to my husband. His middle name's Michael.
Okay, so we are going to talk about an app before we get really deep and into today's conversation. And I thought it made tons of sense to actually talk about an app involving baby names. And babynames.com has their own app. It's called the Baby Name Finder. And Jennifer, tell us a little bit more about it.
Okay. We do have an app for Droid and for iPhone, and it's called the Baby Names Finder by babynames.com. So if you search by our site name, you'll find it because there are a lot of baby names apps out there. But what it does is gives you complete access to our names database. You can browse by letter, or you can search. You can save to a favorite names list. You can shake the phone and get a random name if you're just like at all odds and not knowing what to do. And you can also see our name of the day and also our trending names. And that's in almost real time. So you can see which names people are adding to their favorite name lists in real time and what is trending as of this minute.
So is this people that are on babynames.com, they have their own free account through there, and they're like updating information there, and then it updates on the app? Is that how I understand it? Okay.
Exactly. So that's where we find our baby name trends, is what names are being added to our users' favorite name list. And we get, obviously, like I said, millions of users a month who are doing this. So it's a really good indication of what names are trending and becoming popular and will be used for babies, 9, 12 months in advance.
I like it. Well, and I just love the idea of baby names being on an app because it's one of those things. I don't know when you guys were having your kids, like if you actually sat down at a computer and really looked at names, like baby names are more of a, I don't know, an on-the-go kind of thing for me, or like a one-on-one conversation, but I didn't really do a lot of just sit down on the computer. This is a good, I'm waiting for the elevator, or I'm waiting for an OB appointment, or I'm waiting, you know what I mean?
Or you might be inspired by something.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Right, exactly. If you're out and about and you see a street name that you love and say, that'd make a great baby name, you can add that to your favorites list on your phone without it having to be a name in our database. It can just be free text.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I see that on here now. So, okay, so it doesn't have to be something that's in the database. But if you do see stuff that you like, whether it's the random, name that you were talking about or something that's trending, all you have to do is heart it, favorite it, and then it goes in your own little separate list. So if you do that on the app for your favorites and you also have an account on babynames.com, does it go back and forth between your own personal account, or is the app kind of separate?
The app is kind of separate.
Okay, got it.
It's just saved on your phone, yeah.
But still, it's good for on-the-go stuff. I liking it.
And yes, I was going to say, and sharing too.
Yeah,
right?
and of course, and sharing with your friends. Can you post it to Facebook and stuff? You're like, hey, what do you guys think of this name? And everyone shoots it down. You're like, oh crap, I guess that didn't work. All right. Okay, so check it out. So we'll put a link up on our website so you guys can download it and check it out. There is a fee. There like $1.49 or something like that for it?
It's 99 cents.
Oh, it is. Okay, sorry about that. I thought I saw something about $1.49, which I thought was kind of a weird price. But anyways, so check it out on the website, 99-cent app, and well worth it because finding names is tough. And so you might as well make, every moment count when you're out and about.
Well, we're here today with Jennifer Moss, who has helped thousands of expectant parents navigate the challenge of baby naming over the years, and she's helping us identify special considerations for twins. So thank you, Jennifer. And we have Angel on the phone as well. And, before we get started, I want to say, I think naming is such a personal, unique, creative thing that, when we're talking about our thoughts and opinions, I'm sure we're probably going to offend somebody out there who says, maybe we say, oh, I don't like this. And, so putting this out there, we're not going to be politically correct, but we hope we don't offend you. But, please, if you're really in love with a name, then stay on it because we all know, right? Not everybody is going to love a name, but if you love it, then stick with it. So maybe let's just talk about some of the current trends that are going on in naming babies. So I've been kind of looking out there and I've seen there, a trend of using place names. Like I've seen like Brooklyn and Austin and London. And I think of the group of the Mariah Carey, right? Her son is Moroccan. Right? And of course we have Paris Hilton and Dakota. So what do you guys think about the place names? What's the strength in that, or would you avoid it?
Well, in my opinion, I think it's a great way to think of a place that means something to you and your mate. And if it's a name or a memory that you have, it might be somewhere that, your mate proposed. So I think it's a great way to kind of honor that, as long as it's not kind of too outlandish. It all depends.
Right. Now, I can say my brother and sister-in-law, they were proud to say that their son was conceived in Yosemite. And so as a joke, they told everybody, we're going to name him Yosemite.
Oh, my goodness.
That would be interesting.
Yes, it would.
That would be a little crazy. I live right near Yosemite, and I love the park, but I'm not sure I'd use that as a name.
No, I don't think so.
Let's see. So how about another trend? So we have characters in film and TV. So
characters are huge now. As you know, Twilight had a big effect on baby naming. Jacob and Bella shot to the top of the charts, as well as the lesser characters like Jasper and Esme. So that kind of started the trend, and now we see a huge influx of like A Song of Ice and Fire, which is Game of Thrones baby names. So characters, especially strong characters, do have a big effect on baby naming lately.
And I think we do hear of some Elsas, and I'm not sure. Katniss, are there Katnisses out there?
I haven't heard of them lately, but yes, Walter definitely jumped onto the charts after Breaking Bad. So, which is interesting because he was almost an anti-hero. Same with Dexter.
Dexter.
I like Dexter.
It doesn't even have to be a good person.
Right.
But if, it reaches a lot of people. Now entertainment is huge with streaming and everything. And you're getting to an inordinate amount of people that you didn't quite reach before. So.
Oh, right. Now, how about here's another trend of naming kids after current celebrities. So we said, let's see. So the Mariah Carey, her daughter is Monroe, I think after Marilyn Monroe, right? And then some of the other celebrity kids, let's see, Beyonce's, her daughter is North. And
No, it's not Beyonce.
Yeah.
It's Kardashian. has North.
Oh,
Right.
sorry. I'm
Beyonce
getting
has Blue.
Kanye.
blue.
Kanye.
Blue. Okay, that's right. The color.
Yeah.
I'm getting them mixed up.
Yeah, she's
So-
got Blue Ivy.
Blue Ivy, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, that was the other one. Yes, so so a little bit more abstract. So, and I think we'll talk more about these more abstract names, but the idea that they're named after kind of the celebrities. So the the kids now are being named after the celebrity name. So, which I find interesting. I mean, it's cool. It's a little more avant-garde, right? Or hip.
Oh, I see like Lennon and what are the rock and roll names? I've seen Hendrix, especially for
Yeah,
twins. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of like
Yeah.
music legends used as names
Right.
of twins.
But they're using last names, if you notice.
Yes.
They're not using like
Ah.
Bob,
Right.
That's
Right.
a good point.
Just to make sure that it's definitely that person that they're referencing. So Lennon is obvious. Jagger is obvious.
Jagger.
Yes, no, that's a good point. Now, how about talking of sort of like the old, borrowing from the old? I've also seen like kind of reinventing the old names. Now, and I'll use this example.
Yeah.
So now my grandmother's name was Evelyn. And, growing up, I thought, oh, it's kind of an old lady name. But then I've actually, met a few little girls named Evelyn, which really surprised me.
Yeah, my grandmother's name was Hazel, so that's coming, back around in style as well. And I think this is due to the internet. We now have immediate access to our family trees going back generations and generations. So people are discovering these cool old names back from their family, and they're using them. So I think that's really what affected this whole old-fashioned name trend coming back into style.
Wow. I never thought. I've been doing genealogical research and I have stumbled across some interesting names. So, maybe.
Time to have another baby? Is that what you're telling me, Christine?
I also think that's affected the surname trend too, like Harrison,
Yes.
Jackson, because people have a way of honoring a whole branch of the family tree by using an old surname, for example.
See, we did that with our kids. We did a last name thing, but it wasn't because, we had a family name that we were trying to keep alive or something like that. But I don't know. I like themes in all areas of my life for some reason. I like to categorize things. I like themes. And so we ended up doing, 4 kids, and we ended up doing all names that could be last names. So that's kind of how I categorized it. So I have a Sayer. So Sayer is typically a last name. It's not a first name. I have an Urban, like Keith Urban. It wasn't because of Keith Urban, I promise you. But I really like the name Urban. And then I have an Ainsley and an Addison. And so then my twins are Ainsley and Addison. And so we were kind of doing the last name thing. And then also, before I knew it was twins, when I thought we were just going to have 3 kids, I was trying to spell something with their name. Which, who's going to do? I mean, whatever. But in my mind, I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. So, I have an Urban, so that's a U. I have a Sayer, which is an S. And so I was planning to have 1 A to make USA. And then 2 A's came along. I still stuck with it, though. I'm like, I am still having an A baby or 2 A babies.
That's cool. I never thought of that.
I know, right? Yeah. So
Be patriotic in a
I
different
know.
way.
Well, my husband's a Marine, whatever. You got to do what you do.
Exactly. So that's cool. Now, okay, so how about another trend? Okay, what about unisex or crossover names? So we've seen some of that, like the Madison, let's see, Avery, Carson, Harper, Skylar.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got some other ones. So where they could be used for either a girl or a boy. I don't know. That's kind of hot. I know it's a little bit of, gender ambiguity. I mean, when they're young, because, then when you have a little baby who has no hair and they're just, probably wearing yellow or, and people go, oh, what a cute little boy. And you're like, no, it's a girl.
Well, Sunny's one of those names that goes either way too,
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
The Sunny with a S-O-N-N-Y. Same with
yes.
S-U-N-N-Y. But yeah, it's usually, kind of went back, I think, as far as it used to be used in place of Junior, like you'd call your son Sunny for a boy or whatever. So yeah, I actually.
And you'll notice that the names, if they do cross over, they usually cross from boy to girl. It doesn't usually cross the other way. You won't see a boy named Jennifer, but Ashley, for example, was originally a boy's name, and then it crossed over the girl's side.
I did not know that.
I didn't either.
Because there is still a little stigma of a boy being thought of as feminine, but there's not a stigma anymore about a girl being strong or masculine.
Interesting. And, and I came across a few lately, I think like Peyton. I've seen that as both a
Peyton,
boy
yeah.
and a girl as well. So, because sometimes I wonder if, sometimes maybe we grew up with a certain image in our head of, seeing a movie or, who had a character who had that name and it sort of sticks as either masculine or feminine. But maybe just, we need to open our minds a little bit more.
True.
I was going to say, I know with my name, it depending on the culture, will tell you whether or not it's a feminine name or a male name. Because typically, if people don't see me, they just see the name Angel. They think I'm a Latino male. But if they see the last name and automatically know that I'm not Latino, they assume that I'm a girl. But I know, my name definitely flip-flops depending on what culture you're in.
Wow.
Yeah. See, totally.
You know what? I didn't even know. I knew Angelo, but I didn't know Angel was a masculine Latino name.
Or, I mean, or Angel, or what,
Angel? Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's Angel. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, now how about shortened names? Because that's been kind of coming, like I have a friend and instead of naming her son Jacob, she just went with Jake. So, or I think you mentioned earlier, now Bella is the hot name, which I think is really an abbreviated name of Isabella.
Oh.
Right? So,
personally, I recommend that the parents give them the full legal name and then let the child choose whether they want to use the nickname or not, because sometimes, they might want the choice of using a formal name or a nickname. And you're kind of removing that choice when you give them the name Jake. You don't give them the choice of using Jacob if they want to later in life.
more options. Options are good.
True.
Right.
Very true.
Okay, and let's see. Last little trend we're going to cover here is nature. So I've seen a few and I have some friends like Willow and Autumn, Winter and Spring and Summer, of course. And then for boys like Stone, Maverick, Reed, Steel, Sage, River.
Well, I have to say those are some of my favorite names. I like nature names, but that's a personal choice of mine. I live in the woods, I'm just that kind of a person. So if I had another child, which is not going to happen, but if I did, I would probably use a nature name.
Very cool. So let's see. I think we're going to take a break.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the different options we have when we're choosing twin names. Well, welcome back. Today we're talking about the do's and don'ts of naming twins. And some parents decide they want to have matching or coordinating names, and other parents want to give names that are completely different from each other. So let's look at some of those options for naming twins and creating a pair or not creating a pair. So if you do want to kind of have them more matching, one option would be you could begin with the same letter. I think, Sunny, in your case.
I did that.
Yep.
But I want to make sure they weren't too matchy-matchy for me, just because I already had two other kids. And it's hard for me to call my kids by the right names as is, and not call them the name of the dog or whatever. So I did want them to sound a little bit different, but also that similarity with the first initial is the same.
Yes.
I liked it.
Let's see here. Another idea would be you could have the same cultural origin. So if, you have like a, Germanic background, maybe you want to have very German sounding names, or if you have a Latin background, it's pulling from your cultural heritage. Let's see, have the same ending sound. Now, in my case, so my girls were Alexandra and Julia. So instead of having it the same beginning, we thought, okay, we want to have kind of the same ending sound. Yeah. So it's similar to that. Let's see here. Another option would be to use the same trend. So if you're going to go all out and be creative, then be creative with both of them, right?
Or you don't want Katniss and Bob? You don't like that?
Yeah.
That doesn't work for you?
Be consistent.
Problem with that.
Hey, we want our twins to be different, right?
Oh, gosh. Let's
But I'd use Robert.
Robert,
yes, use Robert. Don't use Bob.
Now you could use a recognized pair. So maybe you run some risks in doing that, but something like a literary figure, or like places that go hand in hand, or real life people. So given the current trends,
I would be careful with that you don't make their names a joke, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing that we recommend is, it might sound cute and people might laugh at first, but they have to bear this their entire lives. So if they're Fred and Barney, for example, you might not want to do that and burden your child with that for the rest of your children for the rest of their lives. You know?
It would be Frederick and Bernard, I think, or something.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's somebody out there, a big Star Wars fan, who's maybe
Luke
got
and Leia?
Luke and Leia. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Save it for the dogs, people. Save it for the dogs.
Yes. Or for the younger set, like maybe Anna and Kristoff or Anna and Elsa.
I was pregnant with my twins when I first saw Frozen in theater, and I just a tiny little part of me went, should I do Anna and Elsa? I'm so glad, because I had no idea it was going to be a super popular movie, because it was before it really exploded.
Yeah.
So glad I didn't do that. Glad I didn't do that.
Now, another creative idea is to kind of use like an anagram. So I think we've heard of what is it, Heaven and Neva, or let's see. So here's a boy, girl, Nadia and Aiden. And another one I just recently saw was Erica and Sierra. So you're kind of using the same letters, either reversing them or just taking the same letters and mixing them up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's maybe not, not so
obvious.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That could be a good thing.
I think that's a cool way of doing it. It's somewhat unique, right?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So now taking a different approach. If parents say, hey, you know what? I don't want to do anything that's related. So what are some of the reasons to have completely unrelated names for twins?
What we say to parents who keep asking us for matchy-matchy names is we say, listen, we would name them as if you would just name siblings because, look, they have to share a birthday. They have to share clothes. They're probably going to share a room. They're going to share school, friends, and they're going to share their faith. So, give them something that's individual. So don't name them Hazel and Basil, for example. The rhyming names are just out. And I don't think there's anything wrong with using the same first letter or the same last letter or having a theme to your twins' names. But make sure that they're individual enough so that they're separate children.
Yes. Separate and unique. No, I'm all for that. So overall, so what are some of the do's and don'ts of naming twins? Like a few different kind of ideas. I think maybe one rule, as you were just saying, is just give your twins like actual different names. Mm-hmm. I heard of some pairs where it's like maybe the difference is one letter off.
That would be so confusing to me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? And then like when, as a twin, when you hear your mom call your name, you're like, wait, was that me or was that you? I don't even know who that was.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't make it confusing.
You know what? That's what I did. That's exactly what I did because I want to be able to say one name and then everybody gets time.
That was
there's that too. There's the matter of convenience.
It is.
Okay. I broke all the don'ts. They rhyme. There's only a one-letter difference in their name.
Oh, no.
I was like, if I've got to carry two of you, I'm going to have some fun with this. Like, I'm going to have to stretch my body out to carry y'all. We're going to make some fun out of it. So my kids' names are Kai and Sai. So their names are very close, but they are also not identical twins. So I feel like they have a strong identity on their own. Nobody gets them confused.
That's a good point. Right. Mm-hmm.
Plus the first name. The first letter is different. So it's a hard consonant, right? So Kai and Tai.
You can hear the difference. And we also added some uniqueness in their middle names. They're both named after two men that were very important to me and my husband. So their middle names are completely different. So if they decided later on in life they didn't want to have that close of a connection to their twins, they could go by their middle name if they wanted to. But I was like, Mama's going to have fun.
Yeah, that's smart.
And I was also thinking about just, different names. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there. I saw an article about Michael Jackson's children, 3 children. So, we know them as different names, but their official names, they all have Michael Jackson in their names.
Right.
What?
Yes. So,
Wow.
Yeah,
so
Blanket is not his name; it's his nickname.
yes.
Oh, well, I knew that, but they all have what? So Jackson's the last name, right?
Yes.
No?
So the
Yeah.
first one, the oldest, is Michael Joseph Jackson Jr. So he's known as Prince Michael. The second child is Paris Michael Catherine Jackson, the girl, and then the youngest is Prince Michael Jackson II, and he's the one known as Blanket.
Oh my god!
But they all have the same. I mean, it's Michael.
So that's their legal name.
That's their
that
legal
nobody,
name. Yes.
Nobody knows them
Yes.
by. I say I don't understand the point of that either. I don't. I'm almost at the point of just throwing out middle names too, because who knows anybody's middle name? That has to be a legal thing just to separate people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's an homage to a family member, really, is what it is.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I mean,
Most of the time.
so I'm glad that the kids have decided to, use like their nicknames or something that makes them unique. And I think, and they're not twins, but gosh, I mean, for twins, that's even, amplified. Like you
Yes.
really need something that's different.
Yeah.
So, now how about names that are, a little bit tough to pronounce? I mean, I would say that it's be pretty important for them to have a name that they can pronounce and other people can pronounce. So, they don't get it called, it's, let's say Joe and the other twin.
So here's my take on this is that we've had so many people take quote unquote normal names in the US, right? Regular names that, have been around forever and twist them a little bit so that the spelling is different, that now the people that have regular names get their names misspelled. Like Sunny, like everybody wants to spell it in some weird way. My son Sayer is just Sayer. Like, I'm like, you know what? We are going to really sound this out phonetically here, right? So everyone calls him Sawyer. I'm like, do you see a W? Do you see, or Soyer or some crazy French thing or something? And they do it with all of us. And I'm just like, and then like, I don't know, but people that do that, I know why it's the unique factor. And I get that. But then on the flip side, your child, no one is ever going to spell your child's name right. And quite frankly, you're messing it up for the rest of us.
What I tell parents to do is do the coffee shop test. Next time you go to the coffee shop and you're considering a name, give them the name and see how they spell it.
Yeah.
I love that.
You know what's so funny is I'm like, I'm Sunny, Sunny. So I'd have to cut out the second part of my speech at Starbucks.
Right.
I'd be like, just figure it out. What do you think it is?
That's a great
Exactly.
one.
Some people just aren't smart. It doesn't matter how simple the name is. I have been spelled Angel. I have been spelled Angela. And I'm like, Angel is a 5-letter name. It's pretty simple. But, sometimes I feel like you can't worry about if people can spell it or pronounce it because, we're surrounded by people that aren't the brightest sometimes. So,
That's true.
we can't really do it off of what other people's capabilities are, or we're going to be stuck with a bunch of Sams and Amy's, and that's it. That's all we're going to have.
Oh, and then they'll spell those wrong too. Or Amy will be Amee or something like that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, and I think in going on that idea, I think it just, it's about consistency. So I think one of the don'ts would be, so don't give, one twin like a super traditional name and spelling, and then give the other one a really creative name, because then
With a different spelling?
Yeah. I mean, either go all out and be creative on both or be traditional on both. Because I think that's just harder. Yeah. Now, and another, I would say a do would be try to have a similar length, or syllables. So you don't have one kid with this, really long sort of elaborate name. I mean, like you'll say a boy with Alexander and then the other kid is Will. It's like, I mean, I don't think it has to match exactly, but, I think there's something to be said about just I don't know if I say not equality. I mean, I think twins are always asking for sameness and equality, and you want to have different, but
right.
I don't think you want to have like super
right.
differences.
Well, and to go along with that too, when you pair it with the middle name too. So, for my Ainsley and Addison, we knew we wanted to use the middle names from my grandmother and my great grandmother. So that's Elizabeth and Marie, and so I knew I didn't want Addison with 3 syllables to go with Elizabeth because that's 3 and 3, and I was like, oh, that's crazy,
Too much.
Can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I kind of offset it where it's, Addison Marie. Marie's my middle name, and Ainsley Elizabeth. So, we kind of did it. It balanced it a little bit. And that was just my own anal retentiveness, I think. But it made sense in my head.
I like that, though. It's balance.
Rhythm is really important in any baby naming. And you kind of have to say it out loud and introduce yourself as the child to see if it just kind of flows off the tongue. And I think you did very well with both of those names.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I've been endorsed. I love it. I'm patting myself on the back right now that Jennifer endorsed my name.
Oh, man. Okay, now here's, I think, another don't is I know a lot of families want to carry on traditions of passing down family names, but I think if you have twins, is it fair to give one twin the family name and the other one not? And if it's, if you're doing it out of obligation more than, you really want to, I think of like boys and we see, like the doubles of James Robert or, something like that. And then the other one is something. I
definitely wouldn't name a child after a parent, one of them, because that's almost like favoritism.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I would save that for a single child if you're going to do that. But maybe after distant relatives, it's just not that much of an issue.
So, and if they're both probably in the same, let's say cultural tradition or, spelling, if there's other things, then it's probably not a big deal.
I think as long as if you do a family relative and someone and then give one child that, then still name the other child after someone important. That's what happened with us. Both of our sons were going to be named after family relatives. One was my husband's grandfather, and the other one was going to be named after his father, the middle name. I'm referring to the middle name. But then our best friend had passed away the day before they were born. So we gave one of our sons that middle name. So they still both hold a lot of weight, even though one is outside of our family. So I don't think when the twin gets older, he'll be like, why didn't I get a family name? Because they both held the same amount of importance and weight. And I think as long as you do that in the name, then it's not a bad thing. But if you give one an important name, the other one just something you read off a cereal box, I feel like you might
there's going to be issues.
Offend the twins.
Yes. Yeah. We'll wrap this up, and I just want to say thanks so much to everyone for joining us today, and I hope you've gotten a few ideas to help you in the process of naming twins. Be sure to check out our website for links to additional resources. This conversation continues for members of our Twin Talks Club, and after the show, we'll continue our discussion with Jennifer and Angel and talk about some famous twins who have unusual names. And for more information about the Twin Talks Club, visit our website, newmommymedia.com.
Hey, Twin Talks, we have a comment from one of our listeners, and we love to get comments from you. So I'm always so excited when we get one. And this one comes from Joanne Brockington, and Joanne posted this on our Facebook page because whenever we release a new episode for Twin Talks, I always promote it on our Facebook page. And this was for the episode Fairness and Equality for Your Twins. So Joanne writes, just listen to this one. It's excellent. My twins are only 4 months old, but this has made me realize I should start taking them out separately and passing the message to family too. Never too early to start. And it feels easier than trying to take both babies out together all the time. Great advice about this episode. Thanks. Well, Joanne, thanks so much for sending this in. We really do appreciate it. We love hearing from our listeners. So after an episode, if something really helped you, we would love to hear that. Or if you have any advice, sometimes we receive, comments from listeners where they're not so happy with the episode. We really do want your feedback overall. And of course, if there are episode ideas that you have, maybe there's a topic that you just want to know more information about and there's not a lot of information online, tell us, send us an email, and we'll get working on possibly creating an episode for that. So the best way to reach out to us is through our website at newmommymedia.com. Go ahead and click on the contact link there. You can also send us a voicemail straight through the website. Real easy to do. There is a gray banner on the side that says send voicemail, and you never have to pick up a phone. Just use the microphone right there on your computer and you can send it that way.
Well, that wraps up our show for today. We appreciate you listening to Twin Talks. Don't forget to check out our sister show, Preggy Pals, for expecting parents, and our show, The Boob Group, for moms who breastfeed their babies, Parent Savers, your parenting resource on the go, and our newest show, Newbies, for new parents. This is Twin Talks, Parenting Times 2.
This has been a New Mommy Media production. The information and material contained in this episode are presented for educational purposes only. Statements and opinions expressed in this episode are not necessarily those of New Mommy Media and should not be considered facts. While such information and materials are believed to be accurate, it is not intended to replace or substitute for professional medical advice or care, and should not be used for diagnosing or treating healthcare problem or disease or prescribing any medication. If you have questions or concerns regarding your physical or mental health or the health of your baby, please seek assistance from a qualified healthcare provider.
How would you like to have your own show on the New Mommy Media Network? We're expanding our lineup and looking for great content. If you're a business or organization interested in learning more about our co-branded podcasts, visit our website at newmommymedia.com. Hey mamas, don't forget to check out Mighty Moms. It's our online community built for new moms just like you. Not only can you connect with other moms, but you can also join us backstage for special mom-only online events. And you'll also be notified when we're recording so you can join us as a special guest. Visit our website, newmommymedia.com, and click on the Mighty Moms banner. It's free. That's newmommymedia.com. See you there.